So, what's that?
We've started now, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. um, so as far as like something like where it says finding common ground and that sort of thing, and the idea of merchandising came to mind. Hi, Kenneth.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
We just kind of just started.
Okay, cool.
I just hit action.
So one of the ideas I had about merchandising, about finding common ground and that sort of thing, one of the thoughts that came to mind is merchandising is a really great way for artists to make money. I think a lot of their profits come from merchandising, but I think there's probably there could be a common ground to be found as far as the quality of the merchandise and trying to save money, but at the same time give the fans quality merchandise. Because if you're just selling merchandise that's just cheap and ugly or whatever, then they're going to feel maybe ripped off, and if you're charging too much for certain items. So that's one thing that kind of came to mind, that maybe there could be some kind of common ground as far as yeah, or even just the idea. I think I was reading through somebody's goals and plans, and I can't remember whose it was. It might have been you, Melody, that or maybe there were a couple of people that were talking about their reputation, and they don't want to be associated with certain messages in music. And if somebody's putting out merchandise that conflicts with your ethics, maybe certain images or something like that, that would be something to consider. So that was one thing I thought about in the area of merchandising. So
yeah, I can see that, where you probably want to make sure the merchandise is made ethically, and not at sweatshops and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess another thing on the merchandising piece, you could probably consider putting it into that side of the 360 deal in a fair way. You know what I'm saying? Where the artist and the record label kind of come to a good agreement, a fair agreement about including merchandise, and then the record company could leverage some of their vendor contacts and maybe even get higher quality or ethical suppliers. So yeah.
Great point.
Well, I was kind of thinking on the live side of things, because that's where most of the money is now, everybody says. So my understanding of a 360 deal is record industries will add that to an advance to take away from the artist pay, or in turn the label just getting paid from every aspect of the artist's career. So I think from the live aspect of things, if that's where everybody's making their money now, and yeah, I understand like a record label really helps an artist they market them a certain way and help them grow. So I think a fair split of touring profits, instead of a record label just taking so much off the top and leaving the artist with what's left. Because I mean, in the traditional sense, a record label mostly just dealt with the recorded music, and now they're trying to kind of get their hands in everything. But yeah, maybe I guess it's not fair to say that they don't deserve the live music, but a fair split of it, I think, would be much fairer to everyone involved than them just taking it and saying, okay, now you'll get this.
Yeah.
Split, and then they have to bear some of the cost of the costs that are involved, because touring is not cheap, so it has to step up in the expenses, as well as it's time to fork out for expenses, and step up, of course, when it's time for collecting on the profit. So yeah, I was going to approach it the material, I guess, that we were supposed to discuss from a recorded music perspective. I guess I was thinking a good consensus that they may be able to artists and labels could consider in the future is allowing artists to own a percentage of masters, a fair percentage of their masters, and going forward in some of these deals, so that of course they're not going to give up the whole ownership of the master, but a percentage almost in the same way that a corporation kind of gives, what do you call it, profit sharing to some of their employees, where, you have a certain number of stock, you have a vested interest in all of us succeeding. So we all succeed together, right? And so it's the same kind of deal, okay, you got a vested interest in these masters just like we do. So we're trying to, the label and the artists are working together to try to make as much money off of those masters as possible. And the artist is profiting off his masters as well in the future.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that could work.
I mean, I think these 360 deals are honestly just kind of keep pushing people away from record labels anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think it's doing anything other than that.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying, Melody, I think I do think something has to be done so that artists are actually still be able, they're still able to have a decent living while they're paying back their
advance.
Yeah, because I do agree that, the record companies put out a lot of money to help artists get started and that sort of thing, but they still have to make a living and they still have to survive. And I just feel like it's just really like it's what are you going to do when you're working day and night? I mean, it's a tough life, and you still have to pay your bills. Right. You know what I mean? And for, I guess, like, it typically takes about 5 to 10 years to even break even, and that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? That would be like us going to work every day and not getting paid.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of how I see it.
Much too.
What's that?
It's different when you own your own business and it takes 5 years to break even, because then you
absolutely
get all of your profit. But
absolutely,
when you say 5 years to break even, we're talking like they broke even at zero.
Exactly. So I definitely think like I just think something has to be done to just make it more even, a little more fair, or maybe even there's this whole sort of, it's like the dangling carrot kind of thing, where it's like, oh, here, we'll give you everything you want. We'll do all this stuff and you'll be famous and whatever. And I really feel like there needs to be somebody, like an advisor or somebody, saying, well, here's, to translate and say, here's what this really means. This means you're going to be working your ass off for nothing, basically. And, I just vaguely remember probably decades ago, reading an article about Heart, the band Heart. And when I was growing up, they were just like, wow, look at them. And you have this sort of idea that they're rich and famous and whatever. And I was reading this article, and they're like, we would come back from tour and we'd be broke, exhausted, and in debt. And that's common for a lot of artists. And it's just like, it's unbelievable to, see how hard they work and how many albums they sell, and it's like, oh, we're in debt, and
yeah.
Well, they definitely need to structure the deal so they're more fair, and do what they can to allow the artists again to profit more.
Right.
With tour and just tour is one thing, but the masters, like we mentioned, is another thing. And
yeah, I think that's a great idea with just at least owning a percentage of the masters. I think is a great idea.
Right, and maybe even after a period of time. I know they're not going to agree to it, but maybe after a period of time, the masters may revert to the artist completely.
Yeah.
25 years or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once they pay back their debt, once the debt is paid, it should be theirs. That's just my.
Yeah, it's your music.
No, we've talked about that before, Kimberly. I agree with that.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Well, I think we nailed it.
I think you're right.
You guys think so?
I think so too.
All right. Well,
I feel good about it.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you for always coordinating these calls.
Yeah. Well, Kenneth actually reminded me. I meant to send everybody an email on like Wednesday.
Yeah. Thank you, Kenneth.
More of the calls. I think I caught 2 or 3 of them, but
no, that's great.
We were able to get together and just collaborate as classmates.
Yeah. Well, I haven't really been diligent with the whole Berkeley Music Network thing, but if you guys want, I'll send you contact requests and
that'd be cool.
That whole thing. I've been on there a few times, but I need to be on there more.
Yeah, I've been slacking there too. I think it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I'll do this, and then you get caught up in homework and all this stuff, and then
homework takes priority. But I've heard of several people say, the thing they did miss, like alumnus, alumni, the thing they missed about Berkeley was the networking opportunities. So
Yeah.
the network with people on the network and
Well, I
LinkedIn
was-
and whatever else,
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about that because I have 2 semesters left,
Right.
and I kept thinking, what am I going to do? Because I've been doing this for over a year, like about maybe 2 years, and it's just been such an amazing experience. But there's so much collaboration that I almost feel like, what's going to happen when I don't have this anymore? So it's going to be really weird. Like you said,
That's probably where they want to come in and be like, have you gotten the email about Berkeley's master program?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
That is true.
I've gotten like 10 emails about that.
I know too.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right,
Bye.
you guys.
Bye.